Hello, hello. Welcome back to Quick and Delish. My name is Delish, registered dietitian and chef, and I'm here to show off the kale that I grew from seed. This is about like maybe 2 small bunches of kale that you buy in the store, or maybe 1 giant bunch of kale from the store or the farmer's market. And I wanted to pick some and show you what it looks like. And so I just used scissors to cut the kale off the plant, and then I pulled out the plants that were like older. This took about, I think, 2.5 to 3 months to grow this kale. This is the 3rd harvest from the same plants, and then I just pulled them out because I wanted. They seemed to need to. I think they would have grown more kale, but it seemed like it was time to move on to something else. Or maybe some new, like add some more fertilizer and then, grow new seeds to make it so that the leaves are more tender. Because the younger the plant, the more tender the kale leaves are. And kale is already very hardy and nutrient dense. So I wanted to share with you some ideas of how I use kale. So I actually haven't made kale chips. I've eaten them before, like store-bought. I don't know. They're good. Some people like them. I don't know. I just haven't made kale chips before. I don't know. I'd rather do something else with my kale, I guess. I don't know. Or roast something else in the oven. But kale chips is something that you can make, right? And so those are crunchy vegetables. Any way that you can have more vegetables, I'm game. So you could add kale to soups. You can make a puree soup, like a green soup, or you could use it for the texture in a soup. Sometimes when I make pesto, I'll actually do kale and basil, or kale and parsley. I haven't done kale and mint. Could be interesting, but why not? Kale and cilantro could be cool. But it's a way to stretch out the pesto because basil is expensive, and so to stretch it out, I use a little bit of kale. You can add a little bit of spinach or arugula, whatever you want. So it just makes it so that you got more green pesto for your effort, and there's a lot of nutrients in here. So what else? I mentioned soups, smoothies. So what I have here is, so this is the kale that I picked today from my garden. And then this is kale I chopped up a couple days ago, and I put it in this lettuce spinner, and it's ready to go. So it's just clean, ready to go. So this is what I do to kale sometimes. When I'm not quite ready to cook it into something, I'll just have it ready to go. And so the last 3 days I ate half of this kale just from the container. I mean, I cooked the kale with other food that I was eating. But I just took it out from this lettuce spinner. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's just like a soup. The lettuce spinner situation is just a super easy way to keep kale ready to go. If you don't have room for this size lettuce spinner in your refrigerator, because some refrigerators are just like that, hard to store large containers, you just put the kale into smaller containers, no big deal. But what you could do is, if you're like, oh shoot, I'm not going to be able to use all this kale in the next couple days, you could actually freeze it in Ziploc bags and then put that in your smoothie, or put that in your soup when you reheat it. So then you're not wasting kale and letting it go bad. I also notice, those of you who buy the greens in containers, lettuce greens or like kale, like baby kale, when you buy those containers, if I were you, I would open them, like when the kale off gases, and it'll start going bad. And if it's a sealed container, it'll start going bad much more quickly than if the gases are allowed to leave. So you could just open those kale packages or lettuce packages and just let them breathe a little bit, and they'll actually last a little bit longer. So that could be just like cutting a hole in I'm not going to tell you how to cut the hole in the lettuce container because I don't want you to hurt yourself. So do it a safe way. But just rip open the container. There's usually something that keeps it sealed. Sorry, I don't have an example right now. I just thought of it as an example to help you keep your greens around a little bit longer. But you want to use your greens up like fresh greens. Don't expect them to last like 2 weeks So yeah, just let the gases escape the lettuce containers or kale containers and they'll stay a little bit fresher. Like you'll totally get like at least a couple more days, as long as they're fresh themselves. Okay, cool. So, oh, I did want to share, so in a pinch, like you're in a hurry, like always, to make something, I'm trying to look for some aphids, but I saw some on another leaf, but so I just washed the leaves really well to remove the aphids. Aphids are basically a gardening pest that eats the kale. So sometimes I'll see, for example, it's the aphids that ate the kale here, and there's like holes. We gotta accept what happens when we grow food. Okay, so you're in a hurry, right? Imagine that, like right now. Okay, so instead of grabbing a cutting board, this is what I do. So I'm just gonna cut this end off, and that's like for compost. And then you just cut what you need. And so I've actually done this with like 2 or 3 leaves at the same time. And you just, you could probably, I'm gonna show you how you could do like 2 leaves at a time. Save some time. Okay, here we go. Check this out. Okay, so I rolled it. It's been a little while since I've done this. Okay, so check this out. As long as you're watching your fingers. So if you cut like 3 leaves and added that to your lunch or whatever, then you'd add a vegetable really quick, and you didn't have to pull out a cutting board or a knife. And it's much easier to clean a pair of kitchen scissors. These are kitchen safe scissors. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this brand, so that's why I'm not going to give a shout out. Just kitchen scissors are like amazing for opening frozen food packages, or like it's hard. Use the scissors. It's the right tool for the job. A lot of times, have them nearby. I think I have like 5 pairs of scissors, just to myself, just in case. I should probably give some away. Anyway, not kitchen scissors, but scissors in general. So that was a super easy demonstration of how to increase greens in your meals real quick when you're like, oh man, I want to cut that, but I can't. I want some kale and I don't want to pull out a cutting board and knife. So make it happen real quick. So kale has a lot of nutrients in there, vitamins and minerals, fiber and protein. For a cup of kale, there's like almost 3 grams of protein in it, and then fiber is about 2.5 grams of protein for the same amount. And then there's for the nutrients, there's a lot of vitamin A, C, and K in there, an impressive amount. And then there's also copper, calcium, potassium, folate, manganese, to name a few more. So it's a nutrient-dense vegetable. Those of you who think that kale is too bitter for you, I think part of it is like the amount. Like, you don't have to eat a kale salad if you don't like kale salads, but don't overdo it. Kale's bitter. So what I would recommend matching with bitter foods is something sweet. So kale and carrots, or like I make carrot ginger soup and I'll add kale to that. So it's about the amount that is tolerable by you. And also like what you pair with it. So red bell pepper, winter squash, like this kabocha squash, would be great with kale, with white beans, poached egg, yum, maybe some grated Parmesan. And what else? Sweet vegetables with kale, mushrooms and kale. Ooh, caramelized onions, okay, with probably garlic, sweet potatoes, and then some kale, maybe some mushrooms, and a frittata. Done. That's how you eat, quick and delish. So I hope you, sorry, I just got really excited about what I just thought of. So if you like this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And then if you want to schedule a free nutrition to wellness strategy session with me, click on the link below. On the title of the video gives you a description box, and then click there to schedule a strategy session with moi, and I hope to see you then. So let's continue simplifying our meal planning and making it so that it's easy to, I help people make it easy to eat healthy more often. Cheers to you. Our greatest wealth is our health. Until next time, this is Alicia Connor signing out.